Hey guys, how you doing? This is Enemy Stand User, and I hope you're doing good because today is a awesome chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. We're going over chapter 160, but last chapter 159 it hit a bit different, and it was a kind of a very unique one, a very unique chapter, and it was interesting getting to see Hagurama's backstory and how he was, and the events that led him as a character into the Culling game. But one interesting point that the chapter had at the end was it stating Yuji and company were entering the colonies, and this chapter 160 did not disappoint because, dear God, I did not expect this much hype from this chapter. It just had me absolutely thrilled. But let's start off with the breakdown. So the chapter starts off with Kenjaku himself talking to Sasaki of all people, Sasaki. And at that moment, I did not even know that that was Sasaki when reading the chapter. But Kenjaku is talking about how the game was going to begin, stating that this place was chosen as the grounds for a battle to the death, and even estimates the size of the barrier that was created. It was over 5 to 6 kilometers, so it is a huge battleground. But now Kenjaku is talking about Sasaki's participation, interestingly enough, about the game, and it seems like this is where all the non-sorcerers have a choice to leave in this sort of like dream state. And Kenjaku states that this is a rift between dreams and reality, a cursed realm. And this statement tells me just how skilled Kenjaku actually is as a sorcerer, and the authority that he has to be able to mediate these realms and to apply it to the Culling game. But the following panel is much more impressive as Sasaki chooses to leave and is walked out of the barrier by Geto to just a chaotic, like a, how do you even explain, a chaotically beautiful double spread panel of Kenjaku leading Sasaki out of the barrier into absolute madness and this chaos that's happening in the Culling game with huge curses, carnage, pterodactyls. There's people in the background. It is just extreme, and I mean, it's, the situation is already out of hand, like I've been saying in some of my other videos. And right now Japan is getting primed for evolution and this evolving for this merger with Tengen, like the manga said, to like intertwine and to break down the barrier between curses and the human world. So you have to expect things will get pretty bloody by then. But the Hien era is fast approaching, and just from this page alone, it's getting really bad fast already. Then another big reveal happens when Kenjaku tells Sasaki, "Thank you for getting along with my son." Kenjaku is confirmed to actually be Yuji's parent. Wait, I get parent, mom, dad. I don't know. I don't know, but it's kind of dark, twisted, and hazy. It makes you wonder how much Kenjaku actually painstakingly planned all of this, including Yuji's birth and involvement just from being born. And it's like Kenjaku is actually, he's just incredibly sadistic and conniving, and he really plans. He's like Aizen incarnate, because it's all according to plan, and he is just too clean. But we have to get more info or something about like a flashback involving Yuji's story, or even Kenjaku's backstory, because all of this can run so deep. But tell me how you guys feel about that in the comments, because the way Kenjaku is, and the way Kenjaku just casually came in and did all this, is a big nod against his authority, and he is shaping up to be an excellent antagonist for this series. But moving on from that, when Sasaki wakes up and is outside the barrier, she meets up with a heap of other people outside the barrier, along with the other occult club member, Iguchi, and that is a super throwback because we have not seen these two since like chapter 1. But with these people outside the barrier, they see a massive, colossal barrier, and we actually get to see that 6-kilometer curtain, and it's actually in the Sendai colony, which is the capital. It's actually, yeah, that's Yuji and Yuta's hometown, and it's the capital for the Miyagi prefecture. So Yuta is very likely to be in there with Kenjaku, and hopefully it's kind of not an off-screen thing. Hopefully I'm right about him being in there. It's not sort of an off-screen thing, but I would absolutely love to see a fight between Kenjaku and Yuta again, because that would be a rematch, because that would be a legendary battle, and they have fought before in chapter 0, and Yuta basically coasted right through him and beat him before, but now both Kenjaku and Yuta they did change a little bit, so this would be a well expected grudge match. But something else to consider is is Geto actually argued with Gojo in chapter 90 about Yuta's strength, and he didn't see what everyone saw in Yuta, and he said Yuta can't become the next Satoru Gojo. So Kenjaku might be here in this colony to prove a point and kill Yuta to kind of shake the Sorcerer's resolve on the Sorcerer's power side, or their morale, because Yuta is a really big player in this game, where I expect he would be. But on the other hand, he might just want to deal with Yuta now before Yuta gets out of hand, but that's just my own take on that. But the chapter continues, and it seems the people who wanted to get out were also in this sort of cursed realm dream state and talked with Kenjaku in their sleep, because they're all in their pajamas when we saw them in the panel. But I think only Sasaki got that sort of personal message from Kenjaku about Yuji being his son, and she actually realized that the son he was talking about was Yuji. And I'm kind of glad that they got Sasaki and Iguchi out of that situation, because that would have been pretty bad. But cutting back on the sorcerer's side, it seems that they are trying to find Hana Karuzo the angel, and just like Sukuna, that might not actually be her current name right now, because they can't actually find her on the Calling game list for players. And Tengen mentioned she was in Colony 2, so they know where to find her. So they make their plan, they make their move. Hakaris and Panda will go to Colony 2, and Yuji and Megumi will go to Colony 1, while Kurira is on standby outside the barriers, because they need someone out there. Because I think Hakaris wanted to keep Kurira outside since the communication is an issue right now, and to have Panda in Colony 2, because he could have a better sniff out of he could find the angel with his nose. I guess we might actually get to maybe see like his sister side. I think that'd be kind of cool to see Panda's sister side in that. But Hikari, he seems to have taken a really strong role as the older student, and he seems to have taken charge, being like the older sorcerer. He even planned on fighting Kashimo Hajime, so his confidence and his strength is really high, and we're going to see some interesting fights when we get into that. Yuji and Megumi, though, after that kind of argue about being in a team, because Sukuna plans something with Megumi, and Yuji definitely knows that, so they kind of butt heads. However, the chapter does mention Tsukimi's time until she announces her participation, with 7 days and 12 hours left. So that's just something to keep in mind throughout all this madness, is that she is still a factor. And at the end of the chapter, all the sorcerers are gearing up and entering the barrier. Panda, Hakaris, and Fushiguro, they announce their participation in the game, and the ending reads, "It's time to cross into the depths of Hades itself. The Culling game begins." And wow, what can I even say? The games are starting, and there's so much at stake and so much could happen at this moment. And the last panels, they really got me hyped, with Hikari all dripped out wearing his own Jujutsu High uniform. That is super cool, and everyone stating their participation. That really got me pumped, man. But just, it's so good, and so we're gonna see some really high level and really awesome fights that are coming up. But some characters that are in my mind at the moment is like Maki now, and I would think she would definitely be a big player because of, we've seen her power and her heavenly restriction with Maki. She might be able to pass through the barrier, and she did say that she was going to meet up with Panda after she was done handling her business at the clan. But I do wonder about the other students as well, and the teachers. I wonder what they're doing, like the Kyoto group and the Tokyo group with like Inumaki State, Nobara, Toto, what's going on with them, and other students and teachers. We have yet to see most of what happened to them, but let me know what you guys think about that. In this chapter, I feel the further we get into it, the more this Culling game is going to get more distorted with everything going on now. But the curses are making a huge comeback in this sort of Hien ritual. This Hien world is coming back. But again, I am super hyped for what's next. And just one final point that I found interesting about this chapter is that Gojo was not mentioned once. But I've noticed even Gojo not being here and him being sealed has this much of an effect on Japan, and it kind of lets you know how his power has a huge effect throughout the world, the Jutsu world at least, and kind of lets you know that we're not going to see him for a good while, because it's already been about I think it's 69 chapters since we've seen him sealed in the prison realm. So we are definitely in this arc for the long haul. But thank you guys, really do appreciate you guys watching this video to the end, and remember to like and subscribe and to share. Yes, share this video with your friends or others who are interested. But your comments really do matter, and your inputs are a huge help in keeping this channel going. And this is Enemy Stand User, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.